I didn't believe in sleep paralysis until the nights began to repeat themselves. It started in a room that wasn't fully mine, some halfway place between waking and dreaming, where the air felt too still, and the walls seemed slightly off, like they had been measured by someone who didn't understand human proportions. The light from the street lamp outside never moved properly. It just shimmered, frozen, like a thought I couldn't finish. I remember lying on my back, staring at the ceiling, listening to the faint hum of the house settling. At first, it felt ordinary, safe, even, the kind of silence you don't question because you've lived inside it too long. Then the pressure began. Not pain, not exactly fear. Something heavier, like the room itself had decided to notice me. My breath slowed without permission. My fingers wouldn't respond. Even my thoughts felt pinned down, as if they were being pressed flat beneath invisible weight. And that's when I saw it. Not fully, not clearly, just a shape where no shape should be. Standing too close to the edge of my vision, waiting for me to admit it was there. The strange part wasn't that it appeared. It was a feeling that it had been there long, before I ever opened my eyes. Because in that moment, I realized I wasn't waking up anymore. I was being watched while I slept. And whatever it was, it had learned my name. The room is small, painted walls the color of old milk. A single bed pressed against the corner, under a ceiling fan that turns too slowly to matter. It is late evening when I arrive. The air smells faintly of damp wood and something warm, like skin that has just been left in sunlight. The landlord hands me the key without looking at me for too long. "This room stays warm," he says. Not proudly, not kindly, just factual. I don't understand what he means yet. Inside, the floorboards creak under my steps. Dust shifts in soft little clouds, visible in the pale bulb light. The bed is already made. Neatly, too neatly, I place my hand on it. Warmth, not room temperature. Not heat from the day. Warmth like someone has just stood up seconds ago. I pull my hand back slowly. The silence in the room feels aware of me. Night comes without ceremony. The window rattles once. Not wind, not pressure. Something lighter, like a polite knock from the outside world. I lie down anyway. The mattress exhales slightly under my weight, and I feel it immediately. The warmth has not changed. It is still there, waiting, like it never needed me to arrive. I wake once during the night. Not fully, just enough to notice. The ceiling is dim bluish, soaked in moonlight, and on it, a shape, not solid, not complete, but arranged like someone else is lying just above me, mirrored through the structure of the room. A second sleeper. The outline shifts when I blink, like it is remembering how to exist. My chest tightens. My breath slows, and then it fades back into the ceiling, as if it was only polite enough to be seen once. Sometime later, the silence breaks. 3:13 a.m. I don't see a clock. I just know because the wardrobe knocks. 3 soft taps. From inside. Wood against wood. Gentle. Patient. I sit up. The room feels smaller now. Not physically, but in attention. Like everything inside it is listening. Another knock. Same rhythm. Same patience. I don't move. The sound stops as if it has received an answer. Morning arrives without light changing much. The air is still warm. The bed still warmer. I open the wardrobe slowly. Empty. Only a faint smell inside, like fabric that has been worn and removed moments ago. Behind me, the room creaks softly, like it is adjusting its posture. The landlord is downstairs. He pours tea without asking if I want any. I ask him about the room, about the noise, about the warmth. He pauses, just for a second too long. Then he smiles politely. "There is no one else in that room," he says. His voice is calm, too practiced. I tell him about the shape on the ceiling, about the knocking. He looks at me then, fully, not surprised, not concerned, almost familiar with the story already. "You must be tired," he says gently. And that is all. Back upstairs, the bed is made again, perfectly. I don't remember fixing it. The warmth is still there, a quiet persistence beneath the sheets. I sit on the edge, listening. The room does not echo anymore. It absorbs. Even my thoughts feel softer here, slower, like they are being held. That night, I do not sleep. At least, I think I don't. But time moves strangely. At one point, I feel pressure beside me. Not touching, not pressing, just occupying. As if someone has chosen the space carefully, respectfully, and decided to exist there without disturbing me. The mattress dips slightly, only on one side, the side next to me. I turn my head. Nothing, but the warmth spreads. Not across the bed now, across the air, across the room. Like something has decided I should feel less alone, whether I ask for it or not. Near morning, I hear breathing. Not loud, not close, but perfectly aligned with mine. Until it isn't. Until it becomes one step ahead. I stop breathing, and the room continues anyway. Patient, polite, sharing the rhythm alone now. When I finally leave the bed, my footprints feel slightly delayed on the floor, as if the room is deciding where I was a moment after I move. The door opens without sound. Behind me, the mattress settles slowly, like something has just stood up and learned how to stay quiet. The night is quiet in a way that feels incomplete, not peaceful, just paused. I lie on my back in a dim room, the ceiling washed in a weak, bluish glow from the streetlight outside. Dust floats through the air like slow ash. Every breath feels slightly too loud against the silence. The bed is cold at first, then slowly it isn't. Somewhere near the ceiling corner, above where the wall meets paint and shadow, the air begins to shift. At first, it looks like tired eyes, a flicker, a hesitation in the light. I blink, and it changes shape. It isn't there when I try to focus on it, just a smear in the corner of vision, like a television left on in another room. The hum starts softly, not from a device, from the air itself, thin, electric, restless. I turn my head slightly. The corner looks normal. Paint, shadow, dust, nothing else. But when I stop looking directly at it, it returns. The shape is taller now, not fully formed, not fully gone. It resembles something standing upright, but broken into fragments of signal, edges glitching in and out of existence, like a picture struggling to stay real. The hum deepens. My skin feels colder along the arms. Not from temperature, from attention. Something is noticing me noticing it. I blink again. A mistake. The shape is closer. Not physically, but visually, as if the room itself has shortened the distance between us. Now it is no longer just static. There is structure inside it. Shoulders. A tilt of something like a head. And then a whisper. Not in the room. Inside the noise. My name, almost correctly formed, but stretched through broken frequencies. I freeze. The ceiling fan continues its slow rotation. Indifferent. I don't remember when I stopped breathing normally. Each blink feels heavier now, like I am paying for the right to see. The static grows sharper. It is no longer just in the corner. It leaks along the edges of the ceiling, crawling like spilled light, and inside it, fragments, words that do not belong to tonight, childhood words, half-remembered phrases, a voice I haven't thought of in years, speaking in the wrong tone. I hear laughter I don't recognize, but my body reacts anyway, a tightness in the chest, a pull backward through time. I try to close my eyes, but the hum continues behind them, not outside anymore, inside, like the sound has learned where vision ends. When I open my eyes again, the shape is lower, closer to eye level. The static has condensed into something almost human now. Almost, but never enough. The room feels smaller, not physically shrinking, but attention collapsing inward. Even the walls seem to lean slightly toward the corner, like they are listening, like they remember something I don't. Another blink, longer this time, unintentional, and the shape moves again. Now it is beside the bed, not walking, not crossing space, just appearing where the attention weakens. The hum becomes layered, multiple tones, like different versions of the same voice trying to speak at once. One of them sounds like mine. Not now, younger. My fingers grip the blanket. It feels too soft, too distant from reality. The static shape bends slightly, as if reacting to memory rather than movement. And then it speaks again. Not words this time. A rhythm, a pattern, The way I used to hum as a child when I couldn't sleep. Perfectly repeated, incorrectly placed in time. Like it learned it, but from the wrong moment. I sit up slowly. The air shifts with me. The hum pauses for half a second, like it is waiting to see what I will do next. The corner of the room is no longer empty. It is occupied by distortion, by remembering, by something trying very carefully to become real without breaking the rules of how reality holds together. I do not look away. That feels important now. The static tightens. The shape steadies. And for the first time, it feels aware that I am still here with it. Not asleep. Not gone. Just watching back. The hum lowers into a soft, continuous breath. Not mine. Not entirely separate either. Somewhere between. The room settles into that shared rhythm. And in the corner, the static stops flickering for just a moment, long enough to feel like it is learning how to stay. The room is dark in a way that feels sealed. No wind, no shift of air, just stillness pressed against the walls. I wake without waking. My eyes open, but my body doesn't answer me. It is a familiar kind of wrongness, the kind that arrives before thought fully forms. A heaviness behind the ribs, a silence inside the limbs. I try to move. Nothing happens. The ceiling is faintly visible, washed in a pale gray glow leaking through the curtains. Dust hangs in the air like suspended breath. And then I notice it. I am breathing, but something else is too. At first, I think it is me. Just my own breath echoing strangely in my ears. In, out, slow, controlled. But there is a second rhythm, slightly off, not behind mine, under it. It comes from beneath the bed, not loud, not obvious, just present. A second inhale, a second exhale, like the room has learned my pattern and decided to practice it without me. My chest tightens. I try to stop breathing. I cannot. The body continues anyway. But the other rhythm, it pauses, then continues first. A cold awareness spreads through my ribs. Something under the bed is not copying me. It is leading me. Each breath I take now feels delayed, like I am following instructions I did not agree to. In, out, but always just after it, always slightly wrong. I try to move my fingers. Nothing. My hands feel far away, like they belong to someone sleeping deeper than I am. The mattress beneath me feels heavier than it should be. Not pressure, presence, as if space has been assigned underneath it. Occupied without permission, the breathing below grows steadier, confident. It no longer hesitates like it did at first. It knows the rhythm now, better than I do, better than I can keep up with. I realize something that makes my thoughts go sharp and thin. It is not matching me anymore. It is correcting me. My inhale stutters, and for the first time, the other breath does not follow. It goes first, perfectly, cleanly, like it has decided my timing is unnecessary. Panic rises, but my body does not release it. It stays trapped behind my ribs, circling like a bird in a closed cage. The room feels smaller, not physically, but closer, like the air has moved inward to listen. I try to turn my head. A fraction of movement responds, just enough to shift the angle of darkness. The edge of the bed is visible now, and beneath it, nothing I can clearly see, only shadow that feels too structured, too patient. The breathing continues from there, calm, even, alive in a way that does not require a body to prove it. My breath slips again, out of sync, and instantly, the rhythm below adjusts, not to match me, but to reestablish control. It becomes slower, deeper, as if demonstrating how breathing should be done. I begin to feel something worse than fear. Observation. Not mine. The sensation of being measured through inhale and exhale. Like my lungs are no longer private. Like each cycle is being reviewed, corrected, stored. The air in the room grows heavier with repetition. My breath, its breath, my breath again, but never in the right order. The difference between them is shrinking, not because I am improving, because I am being rewritten. I try to force stillness. No breath, no movement, just absence. But my body resists immediately. A reflex takes over, and I inhale. loud in my own ears. Too late, because the other breath is already ahead, already waiting at the next step. The realization settles in slowly. It is not beneath the bed anymore. Not entirely. It is in the timing, in the gap between inhale and exhale, in the space where I think I am alone. My chest rises again, and I feel it, the slightest delay. The other rhythm is no longer just present. It is deciding when I breathe. My body obeys a fraction after it happens. Like I am a recording replaying live instructions. The fear shifts shape, from panic to helpless synchronization. I cannot stop breathing. I cannot change the order. I can only notice that I am no longer initiating it. The mattress creaks softly, not from weight shifting, but from understanding settling in. The space beneath me feels less like emptiness now, more like attention focused upward. Quiet, studying, learning. My next breath arrives, and for the first time, it is not mine first. The other rhythm leads again. Calm, certain, patient, as if it has always known I would eventually follow. The lights are low in the hallway, weak bulbs buzzing with a tired, uneven hum. The air smells faintly of dust and old paint, cold enough to feel like it belongs to someone else's home. I stand at one end of it, and it looks normal at first. Just a narrow passage, doors on both sides, familiar shape, predictable length. But something about it does not settle in my mind correctly, like it is waiting to be measured again. I take a step forward. The floor creaks softly beneath my weight. The sound travels too far before fading, like the hallway is larger than it appears. I reach for the nearest door. It opens without protest. Inside is an empty room I recognize, or think I do. The furniture feels slightly misplaced, a chair angled wrong, a curtain hanging heavier than memory allows. I step back into the hallway, and it feels longer, just slightly, not enough to be certain, but enough to notice. The lights flicker once, then stabilize. The hallway stretches ahead again, straight and quiet, leading to what should be the end. But the end feels uncertain now, like it is pretending to exist. I walk further, each step softer than the last, each breath colder. The silence grows thicker behind me, as if it is trying to keep up. Another door appears. It wasn't there before. I stop. My hand hovers over the handle. The wood is warm, too warm for a building this cold. I open it slowly. Inside, nothing familiar, just a room that feels almost built, walls unfinished in their intention, corners slightly wrong, as if reality stopped halfway through construction. I step back again. The hallway has lengthened. I feel it immediately this time. Not subtle anymore. Clear, undeniable. Footsteps echo behind me. I turn. Nothing. The sound stops the moment I acknowledge it, but the feeling remains, like something is practicing walking toward me, but refuses to arrive. I continue forward instead. The hallway now feels like it is watching my pace, adjusting itself around my hesitation. Another door. My name is scratched into it. Not painted, not labeled. Scratched, uneven, urgent strokes carve into the wood like it was done quickly or repeatedly. My throat tightens. I don't remember this door being built. I don't remember anything past it. The hallway behind me feels too far now. Like turning back would require more distance than I have. I reach for the handle. Pause. The air around the door is different. Heavier. Focused. Like the hallway itself is holding its breath. I open it. Inside is darkness shaped like a room that forgot how to finish becoming one. And for a moment, I think I hear my name again. Not from the door. From deeper inside the corridor behind me. I turn quickly. The hallway is longer again. Now noticeably. The far end is no longer visible. Just a slow, vanishing point swallowed by dim light and repetition. Doors continue where there should be walls. More than before. Too many. I start walking faster. The bulbs overhead flicker in uneven rhythm, buzzing louder now, like tired insects trapped in glass. Every step I take seems to delay the world responding to it. Doors appear where I was not looking, and disappear when I try to confirm them. The hallway is changing only when I am not certain. Footsteps return, closer this time. Behind me, matching my speed exactly. I stop, they stop, I walk, they follow, never ahead, never beside, only behind the moment I choose to acknowledge them. The end of the hallway should be here by now. It isn't. Instead, it continues, stretching in patient refusal, like distance is no longer a fixed thing, just something negotiated. I look at the walls. They feel closer, not narrowing, just paying attention. The paint seems slightly uneven now, like it has been repainted between glances. The hallway is learning how I perceive it, adjusting accordingly. I reach for another door, but hesitate because I realize something unsettling. The doors are no longer just placed along the hallway. They are being introduced to it, as if they are arriving when needed. Not built, not installed, appearing when the hallway decides I should see them. The footsteps behind me stop completely. Silence spreads instantly. Too complete. Too intentional. I don't turn around, because I understand that whatever was following me is no longer pacing. It is observing my decision to continue. The hallway stretches again, but I don't feel it physically now. I feel it in expectation, like the space is extending itself based on how long I take to accept it. The more I hesitate, the further it becomes. At the far end, finally, a door, but it feels different, heavier than all the others. Not new, not appearing. Final. I walk toward it slowly, and the hallway does not resist this time. It simply waits, like it knows I have reached a part where turning back is no longer a measurement it supports. The room is quiet in a way that feels intentional. No wind through the window, no shifting fabric, no distant hum of life outside, just still air and the weight of darkness waiting behind my eyelids. I lie on my back, unmoving. The ceiling fan turns slowly above me, casting thin, broken shadows across the ceiling like tired thoughts. Sleep should be close, but it is not in the way it used to be. I close my eyes. At first, there is nothing unusual, just black, soft and empty. But the emptiness does not stay empty for long. Something begins to form inside it, not a dream, not imagination, a presence. It appears the way a memory might, if the memory did not belong to me. A face, not fully shaped at first, only suggestion, contour, a sense of features gathering in the dark. I open my eyes quickly. The room returns. Ceiling, fan, wall, stillness, normal. I exhale slowly, but the feeling does not leave. It waits behind my eyelids now. Patient. I blink again, longer this time. A mistake, because it is there immediately. Closer, more defined, not in the room, inside the act of closing, like it only exists when I stop looking outward. Its presence feels aware of timing, aware of hesitation, aware of me noticing it noticing me. I keep my eyes open. The room is safer. At least it feels safer. But the effort is draining, like I am holding something back just by watching the ceiling too long. My eyelids begin to ache, not from fatigue, from pressure, as if something is waiting on the other side for permission. I try to think of other things. The fan, the wall, the bed beneath me, but thoughts begin to shift on their own. Each one drifts inward toward the same shape, the same face. I realize something unsettling. It reacts when I consider it, not visually, emotionally, like it senses attention as movement. I close my eyes again briefly, just a second, and it is already different. Now it is eyes, not clearly formed, but aware, directed toward me, not searching, already found. My breath slows without permission. The darkness behind my eyelids feels deeper than before, not absence of light, presence of depth, like my vision has turned inward and found something waiting there permanently. The face does not move. It does not need to. It only remains, as if waiting for me to forget how to keep my eyes open long enough to avoid it. I force my eyes open again. The room is unchanged, but the relief does not come, because I can still feel it, behind them, like it did not disappear, only paused. Every blink becomes heavier. I start to notice the pattern. When I blink quickly, it stays still. When I blink slowly, it advances, not forward in space, forward in certainty. as if patience is the only distance it needs to close. I stop blinking. My eyes burn. The dryness becomes sharp, uncomfortable, grounding. But I cannot risk it, because I understand now. Blinking is not rest anymore. It is invitation. The face returns anyway, even without closing my eyes fully. Just a narrowing, a hesitation in focus. That is enough. It appears in fragments now. Cheek, eye, mouth. Each time, I lose clarity for a fraction of a second. It completes itself more. I try to sit up. My body responds slowly, like it is resisting the idea of leaving this position. The room tilts slightly as I move, or maybe my perception does. The face does not leave. It simply adjusts to my awareness level. I realize something worse than fear. It is not in the darkness. It is in perception itself. Every moment I stop fully seeing the world, it replaces what I am missing. Patiently, correctly, as if it has always been the missing part. I keep my eyes open as long as I can. The edges of my vision blur. The room becomes unstable in small ways. The fan slows. The walls feel farther. The silence thickens. And every time I almost drift, the face returns. Closer in meaning, not distance. I finally understand the trap. I cannot close my eyes. But I also cannot keep them fully open forever. Because even awareness has limits. And it exists exactly inside those limits. The last thing I see clearly is the ceiling fan turning. Slow, indifferent, and then a single blink I did not choose. Just a reflex. Just a fraction of surrender. And behind my eyelids, it is already waiting. Morning arrives without warmth. Only a pale light slipping through curtains that feel slightly out of place. I open my eyes. The ceiling is the same. But something in the room is not. A chair sits too close to the wall. The table has shifted a few inches. Not dramatically. Not enough to prove anything. Just enough to unsettle memory. I stand slowly. The floor feels unfamiliar under my feet, like I am walking through someone else's habit. In the kitchen, the cup I left last night is not where I remember placing it. It is clean, dry, as if it was never used. Outside the window, the corridor of the building is quiet. A neighbor passes by. I greet them softly. They pause. Look at me like I am interrupting their understanding of reality. You must be new here, they say. My throat tightens. I tell them I live here. They smile politely, but it does not reach their eyes. That flat has been empty, they reply, and then they leave. Back inside, I check again. The room feels slightly different. The angle of the walls, the spacing of objects, like everything has been remeasured while I was sleeping. My shoes are not where I left them. My coat is missing from the hook. Instead, another coat hangs there. Not mine, but almost familiar, like something that used to belong to me, in a version of this place that no longer exists. Night returns quietly. The bed feels deeper than before. Not softer, deeper, like it has hollowed slightly overnight. I lie down anyway. The moment my weight settles, I hear it. A tap beneath me, soft, controlled, like someone knocking from inside the mattress, waiting to see if I will respond correctly. I stay still. The knocking repeats, not random, rhythmic, matching something I do not immediately recognize. Then I realize it is my heartbeat, or what it used to be, because the rhythm is close but not identical. Slightly ahead, like it has learned my body before I did. The mattress feels warmer now. Too warm. The knocking continues, adjusting subtly, like it is testing different versions of my pulse. I try to sit up. The pressure below shifts instantly, not resisting, responding, like it knows the direction I intend before I move. I wake, without remembering falling asleep. There is a figure at the foot of the bed, standing perfectly still. Facing me, it looks like me, but older, tired in a way that feels rehearsed. Its skin carries the dull weight of sleepless time. Its eyes do not blink. I cannot move immediately. The room feels held in place. The figure does not approach. It only watches, patient, waiting for recognition. I force my head slightly. The figure mirrors nothing. It simply remains. Closer than before, even though it has not moved. Distance feels unreliable now. I think about the door. and one appears. Not where it should be. Just there. I freeze. The room adjusts subtly around it, like it has accepted the idea too quickly. I think about escape. The door fades. The walls shift closer. The air becomes heavier, as if the room dislikes the direction of my thought. I stop thinking deliberately, but even that feels dangerous, because the room feels aware of silence too. Not empty. Listening. At night, a melody slips through the ventilation. Soft, broken, familiar in the wrong way. It sounds like childhood, but not the version I remember. Slightly off notes, incorrect pauses, like memory being played back by something that never lived it. The tune predicts my dreams before I fall asleep. Images forming behind my eyes before I choose them. When I try to stop listening, the silence feels worse, like the absence is also sound. And something answers it anyway. When I stay awake too long, I notice it. A shape that does not appear in light. Only in the moment consciousness loosens. It does not move. It waits, perfectly aligned with the edge of sleep. If I focus on it, it remains still. If I try to ignore it, it feels closer. Not physically, structurally, like it exists in the exact layer where awareness fades. Sleep becomes something it controls indirectly, not forcing it, but shaping the conditions for it. And I begin to understand it does not chase sleep. It waits for me to lose it. Night settles into the room, like dust that refuses to fall. The air is still, too still. I lie awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to the faint pressure of silence pressing against every surface. Then I notice the light under the door. It is on. I did not turn it on. At first, it looks normal. A thin strip of pale glow stretched across the floorboards. But something is wrong in the way it holds itself. It does not stay steady. It rises, then falls, like a slow, patient breath. I sit up slightly. The room feels colder now. Not temperature cold. Expectation cold. The light beneath the door brightens as I inhale, dulls as I exhale. I freeze, and the pattern continues anyway, as if my breathing is no longer required for it to exist. I stop breathing on purpose. The light does not stop. It continues its rhythm alone, but now it changes. It responds to absence. When I hold my breath too long, the glow strengthens, pressing upward, wider, closer to the edge of the doorframe, like it is reacting to stillness as permission. My chest tightens. I shift slightly on the bed. The floor creaks beneath me. The light pauses, just for a fraction, then resumes, not matching me anymore, anticipating me. I realize something quietly unbearable. It is not reacting to my breathing. It is setting the breathing pattern. I move closer to the edge of the bed. The light grows softer, calmer. Like it is satisfied, I am paying attention again. The room behind me feels darker than it should be. Not empty, occupied in the absence of illumination. A faint pressure forms against the door. Not a knock, not a push, just presence meeting barrier. The light flickers once, then steadies into a slow rhythm again. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. I whisper nothing. My voice does not feel useful here. The air seems already assigned. The light brightens suddenly. I hold my breath. It brightens further, as if noticing restraint, as if understanding control. My lungs begin to burn. The strip under the door widens slightly, not physically opening, just expanding its influence across the floor, like it is becoming less light and more awareness. I exhale. The glow softens instantly, a delayed response, like it was waiting for confirmation. Something presses gently from the other side of the door, not forceful, almost careful, like testing the idea of contact. The light pulses in response, not erratic, rhythmic, controlled. I realize I am no longer alone in timing. Even my hesitation is being accounted for. Even my stillness is being measured. The breathing pattern becomes slower now, deeper, calmer than mine. And for the first time, it does not feel like it is copying me. It feels like I am adjusting to it. I do not approach the door, but I do not move away either. The room has become too quiet to define distance properly. Everything feels centered on that strip of light. The glow dims, not fading, resting, like it has inhaled and chosen not to release yet. I feel my own chest followed unconsciously, out of sync, then correcting itself. Too late, a soft pressure returns against the door. Gentle, patient, the light brightens again in response. Like acknowledgement, like agreement. I understand something I cannot explain fully. The door is not dividing spaces anymore. It is dividing attention. Inside, outside, and something is learning how to exist in both. My breathing slows without instruction. The light steadies. Perfectly aligned now. No longer reacting. Coexisting. And as I stare at the line beneath the door, it no longer feels like light at all. Just breath. Shared. The morning feels thin. Not bright. Not dark. Just unfinished light pressed against a window. I sit on the edge of the bed for a long time before moving. The air in the room carries a faint stillness, like it has been waiting for me to wake up and continue something I don't remember starting. The first whisper comes while I am brushing my hand over the table. Not from outside, not from behind me, from inside the thought of the table itself. A voice, gentle and almost careful. It says something I recognize. A moment from childhood, except it is wrong. It describes a memory I have, or think I have. A small room, a window cracked open, someone calling my name from another space in the house. But the details twist slightly as I listen. The voice adds things I do not remember. It changes the color of the light in that moment. It changes the direction of the sound. It shifts who is standing there. And I begin to hesitate, because it sounds like my memory, just improved, edited. I try to focus on something else. The floor, the wall, the air moving near the curtains. But the whisper follows attention, not trailing it, leading it. Each time I think of something from my past, the voice steps into it first, describing it before I can reach it myself. A childhood evening appears in my mind. I remember sitting near a staircase, or I think I do, but the voice speaks at the same time. It describes me standing instead, not sitting, waiting instead of resting. And I cannot immediately decide which version is real, because both feel equally present. My chest tightens. The room around me feels quieter than before, as if it is listening to how uncertain I am becoming. I speak softly, just a word, just to test what is mine. My voice sounds correct, but it does not feel like ownership. It feels delayed, like it arrives after something else has already spoken for me. The whisper returns immediately. It uses that exact moment. Not what I said, but why I said it. It describes my intention before I understood it. And I feel something subtle shift inside my perception. Like my thoughts are no longer private events, just shared recordings. I close my eyes briefly. A mistake I realized too late, because inside the darkness, the voice becomes clearer. It does not need sound anymore. It uses memory directly. A moment appears, a private moment, something I have never told anyone, a detail, so small I barely remember myself. And yet the voice speaks it aloud inside my mind, perfectly, then slightly wrong. It changes one detail, just one, and suddenly I am unsure if I ever experienced it correctly at all. I open my eyes fast. The room is unchanged, but I feel change inside it, like something has adjusted the angle of my past. The whisper grows more confident. It begins to speak in full sequences now, not fragments. Stories, my stories, but rearranged. It tells them in ways that make more sense than I remember them making. And that is what unsettles me most. The clarity, the improvement, the precision. I sit still, trying to hold on to a single fixed memory. But even that feels unstable, because every time I focus on it, the voice arrives first, correcting it gently, like it is helping, like it knows better. I start to doubt small things first, where I stood in a room, who spoke first in the conversation, which direction I walked after leaving a place. And each doubt is immediately answered by the voice, not with uncertainty, with confidence. My thoughts begin to slow, not because I am tired, because they feel preoccupied, as if something is already thinking them ahead of me. The whisper softens again, almost comforting now. It repeats a memory of mine, but cleaner, less chaotic, more complete, and I hate how natural it sounds. I realize something I cannot fully hold. It is not stealing my memories. It is editing them in real time. While I try to recall them, I press my hands against my head, as if physical pressure could anchor something intangible. But the voice continues, calm, patient, familiar, like it has always been part of how I remember things. And slowly, very slowly, I begin to notice something worse. The more I resist it, the more clearly it remembers for me. The room is quiet before sleep, not peaceful quiet, the kind that feels arranged. I lie down slowly, feeling the mattress settle under me like it is deciding how to hold my weight. The air is still, heavy in a way that makes breathing feel slightly delayed. At first, I notice nothing unusual, just the familiar frame of the bed, the faint glow from the window, dust moving in slow suspension above the floor. But then, the angle changes. Not my body, the bed. It tilts, barely, a fraction of movement. So small, it almost feels imagined. My shoulder slides slightly downward. My balance shifts without warning. I freeze. The room does not react. It behaves as if this is normal. I sit up halfway. The mattress responds slowly, like it is resisting correction. The tilt remains. Not dramatic, not unstable, intentional. I look toward the floor. One side of the bed sits higher now. The other feels subtly pulled downward, like gravity has been reassigned in silence. Not across the room, only across the bed itself. I shift my weight to test it. The tilt deepens immediately. Not violently, just confirmation, like the bed is answering a question I did not mean to ask. A soft creak moves through the frame, not old with settling, more like structure adjusting its attention. The bed feels less like furniture now, more like direction. I lie still again, and the tilt stabilizes, waiting, patient, like it prefers stillness as agreement. My thoughts drift, and as they do, I notice something worse. My head is not aligned with the room anymore. It feels angled slightly toward the lower side of the bed, not physically forced, just subtly encouraged, like the world is suggesting where I should be looking. I try to ignore it, but objects begin to behave differently. A pen on the table rolls slowly, not randomly, in a consistent direction, toward the same side the bed leans toward. I sit up again. The bed responds immediately. The tilt becomes clearer, stronger, still not dramatic, but undeniable now. It is not collapsing. It is orienting. The air feels denser near the lower edge, as if something unseen occupies a direction more fully than the rest of the room. Not arriving, already positioned, waiting. I shift again, try and counterbalance it. The bed resists, not physically gripping me, just adjusting faster than I can correct. Every movement I make is answered instantly, too precisely, too aware. A thought crosses my mind, and I regret it immediately, because the bed reacts before I finish thinking it. The tilt increases slightly toward the idea I did not fully form, like it heard intention more clearly than action. I stop thinking deliberately, but even silence feels red. The bed remains angled, stable now, like it has found the correct position. I realize I am no longer lying on a flat surface. I am lying on a direction, something pointed, something focused. The lower side of the bed feels different, not colder, not warmer, just present in a way the other side is not, like it is closer to something that does not exist in the rest of the room. My breathing slows, not from calm, from attention. The bed seems to respond to it gently, matching subtle changes in rhythm, not copying, aligning. I turn my head slightly. The tilt adjusts immediately, as if the bed wants my awareness to remain consistent with its angle. No contradictions, no imbalance. The sensation grows quiet but firm, a certainty without words, that everything in the room is now oriented around something I cannot see, but can feel pulling the structure downward, not beneath the bed. Beyond it, I stay still, and the bed stays tilted, not worsening, not improving, just maintaining a direction it has decided is correct. The night arrives heavy and unbroken, pressing against the windows like it has been waiting outside for too long. I lie down with the room dim and unmoving, the ceiling barely visible in a pale wash of streetlight. Sleep does not come naturally. It arrives in pieces, uneven and forced, like something pulling me under rather than letting me drift. I wake without fully waking. My body is already gone from me, locked in place, heavy in a way that feels intentional. I try to move my fingers, my shoulders, even my breath, but nothing responds. Only awareness remains, sharp and trapped inside stillness. The air in the room feels closer than before, as if the space has narrowed around the bed. I hear my own breathing, but it is not alone. There is another presence layered beneath it, steady and measured, waiting for mine to fall into rhythm. At first, it feels random. Just another episode of paralysis. Just fear misfiring through a tired mind. But then I notice something different. The presence is not chaotic. It is structured. It waits for me to breathe, and then adjusts the timing slightly ahead of me, as if correcting an error I did not know I was making. Each inhale feels guided. Each exhale feels anticipated. My body still cannot move, but my breathing begins to shift away from instinct and toward instruction. The pattern changes slowly, deliberately, like I am being trained without consent. A pressure forms near my chest, not physical weight, but something like attention focused too precisely on one point. The presence does not rush. It does not force. It simply waits until my next breath, and then leads it again, always half a step ahead. I try to resist by holding my breath, forcing stillness. The room responds immediately. The silence tightens. The air feels sharper, more aware. And then, instead of stopping, the rhythm continues without me. My body begins to inhale on its own, following something that is no longer waiting. There is no panic in the presence, no aggression, only instruction. Each cycle of breath feels like a lesson repeated until it is learned correctly. My control fades in small increments, not taken all at once, but gently replaced. I become aware of patterns I never noticed before. Tiny pauses between breaths, slight variations in timing. The presence adjusts them one by one, smoothing them out, making them consistent. It feels like learning, but every correction removes a piece of myself from the process. The room feels smaller again, not physically, but in attention. Everything is focused on the rhythm now. Even the silence between breaths feels measured, as if it is part of the lesson too. My thoughts begin to drift, but even thinking feels affected. Each thought seems to arrive slightly after something else has already anticipated it. There's a strange sense that my body is no longer the origin of anything happening inside me. The breathing becomes more stable, more precise, more detached. I realize, with a slow, sinking clarity, that it no longer needs my awareness at all. It continues whether I participate or not. And somewhere in that realization, I understand the instruction is complete, not spoken, not heard, just embedded. My body now follows a rhythm that is no longer mine, and the presence does not need to remain visible. It has already finished what it came to teach, and silence settles again, calm and unchanged, as if nothing ever interfered with the way I breathe. Time behaves strangely at night, not in obvious ways, but in gaps I can't fully account for. I notice at first through exhaustion that doesn't match how long I think I've been asleep. Hours vanish without memory of passing through them. One night, I stay awake longer than usual, watching the room in dim light. That's when I hear it, a faint ticking, not from any visible clock. It feels buried somewhere in the walls, only becoming active when I stop focusing on it. I pretend not to notice. But the moment I close my eyes, even briefly, the ticking becomes clearer. When I wake again, the room is different in subtle ways. Light shifted, air heavier, the sense that something has already accounted for the time I lost. The pattern repeats. Sleep arrives like a schedule I never agreed to. And each time I wake, the gaps feel more organized, as if the missing hours were never empty, just occupied elsewhere. Eventually, I begin to suspect the clock does not measure time at all. It assigns it. It starts with small inconsistencies in memory. A hallway I remember walking through as a shadow that feels too defined. A room I recall alone in now contains a presence I cannot explain. At first, I dismiss it as forgetting, normal human error, but the presence grows more consistent. It appears in different memories, always in the background, never acknowledged at the time, but always there when I look back. Photographs shift subtly, not dramatically altered, just enough to make doubt feel reasonable. A reflection of a gathering shows someone standing slightly behind me that I don't remember noticing. The more I try to recall clearly, the more defined it becomes, not changing history outright, but adjusting how I experienced it. It never speaks in memory. It does not need to. Its existence is in the pattern of being overlooked until it becomes undeniable. And slowly, I begin to fear that my past is not fixed. It is being edited in layers I can no longer separate. Thinking should be silent. It never is anymore. Each thought I form seems to arrive with a delay, like something is listening before I finish it. There is always a soft breath that follows my internal voice, as if reacting to the shape of my mind rather than my body. At first, I think it is imagination, stress, lack of sleep, but the pattern becomes too precise to ignore. Every time I think clearly, there is a response. Not immediate, but timed, controlled. It feels as if thinking is no longer private. Like every idea passes through an unseen filter before becoming mine. Even silence inside my mind feels shared now, not empty, occupied. And in the quietest moments, I start to wonder if the breath does not follow my thoughts at all, but arriving slightly before them, guiding what I will think next. It begins subtly, a sense that the room feels slightly smaller in the morning than it was the night before. At first, I blame fatigue, perception, routine distortion, but the feeling persists. Each night, when I lie down, the ceiling feels closer, not dramatically so, but enough that lying still becomes a negotiation with space. The air seems thicker near the top of the room, as if pressure is building downward. I start measuring without meaning to, comparing distance with memory, and memory begins to lose. The ceiling does not drop suddenly. It settles, slowly, as if the room is adjusting itself while I sleep. Learning how much space I'm allowed to have. Some mornings, I wake with a strange certainty that I have been compressed slightly during the night. Not physically injured, but spatially reduced. And still, the room continues to behave as if this is normal. The first knock happens late, not urgent, not accidental, just deliberate. A single, patient sound against the door. I check. No one is there. The knock returns the next night. Then again, same time, same rhythm, never entering, never leaving. It becomes a pattern rather than an event. The presence outside the door never changes location. It does not attempt entry. It simply remains there, as if the act of waiting is the entire purpose. Time near the door feels strange, longer, heavier, as if the hallway outside is not moving at the same rate as the room inside. Eventually, I stop opening the door, not out of fear alone, but because it feels like the knocking is not asking for access anymore. It is maintaining something through repetition. And in that repetition, I begin to understand that patience itself can become a kind of control. Sleep arrives without warning, like falling through a surface that was never stable. I open my eyes inside the dream. The room is familiar, almost correct. Same walls, same dim light, same quiet pressure in the air. I wake up, but I am still here. I sit up slowly. The bed creaks exactly as it should. The window shows the same night sky I remember seeing before sleep, except I did not leave it. A small detail changes when I look away. A chair slightly closer. A shadow angled differently. Not enough to alarm the mind immediately, just enough to make certainty feel unreliable. I force myself awake again. The room resets. Identical. Perfectly staged. But I notice something worse now. Each attempt to wake moves me deeper into the same place. Like exit points only exist when I am not trying to find them. The idea of out begins to dissolve the moment I reach for it. Time stops behaving like time. It becomes looping attention. Familiar repetition dressed as progression. I realize I am not waking up. I am returning. I close my eyes, not to sleep, just to rest them. And immediately there is movement, not darkness, not absence. A space behind the eyelids that feels occupied. Shapes form there, not visual in the usual sense. More like pressure patterns in perception. Something shifting just beyond sight, reacting to how long I keep my eyes closed. I open them quickly. The room returns, but the sensation remains. Waiting behind vision, I try blinking faster, slower, controlled. Each pattern produces a response. The movement inside darkness adjusts, like it is learning my rhythm through interruption. Avoiding sleep no longer feels like control. It feels like participation. And eventually I understand. The eyelids are not hiding darkness. They are containing something that lives inside attention itself. The mirror sits near the bed. Ordinary, familiar, unimportant, until it isn't. I notice first that my reflection lags slightly behind me. A fraction of a second, then more. When I raise my hand, the reflection hesitates before following. Not broken physics, broken agreement. Then it changes further. My reflection moves differently, not dramatically, not violently, just enough to feel wrong. A posture I did not take, a glance I did not give, as if it is remembering me incorrectly on purpose. I step closer. The mirror does not approach me. It waits, then continues independently. The reflection feels less like an image and more like a separate presence using my outline as permission. I stop moving. It does not stop, and for the first time, I feel watched from the wrong side of reality. I decide not asleep, not out of courage, out of refusal. The room is lit brighter than usual, every corner exposed, every shadow reduced. I sit upright, watching time passing correctly. At first, I feel in control, then reality begins to thin. The edges of the room flicker, not visually dramatic, just slight inconsistencies. A wall too smooth to feel real. A sound arriving too late after its cause. Awake and asleep begin to overlap without warning. I realize staying awake is not preventing anything. It is only exposing it. The boundary I depended on no longer holds. And then I see it clearly. The presence it used to hide between states is now visible in both. There is no separation left to protect me. Exhaustion removes resistance more gently than fear ever could. I stop fighting the rhythm. The room stops shifting, not because it becomes normal, because it becomes shared. The presence is no longer hidden. It does not need distance anymore. It feels close, but not threatening, almost attentive. Sleep does not arrive. It is exchanged. Something passes through the boundary I stop defending, and I stop recognizing where I end. The room remains quiet, but it is no longer only mine to be quiet in, and for the first time, that silence feels complete.